And we're joined by former MP Stephen Fuhr. Driving into work today, I hear what's happening in Ottawa. We've got Justin Trudeau stepping down, but yet not until he's replaced. And in the meantime, proroguing the House of Commons. What's your reaction to this?
Well, it was a shock for many, but not for a few. I mean, this was coming. The timing's not great, but he clearly laid out how he wants this to unfold, and the Liberal Party is going to get a new leader, and there's going to be a fresh face for progressive politics running in the next election.
Right. So there was this divide, with some MPs and former MPs like yourself kind of wanting to usher Justin Trudeau out, others that wanted him to stick around. Are you able to say what side of that you were on?
I've been out of it for 5 years now. I tend to try to look at this from a personality perspective, the least. Like, I look at it from a policy situation and outcomes of the policy. So how is the country doing? Despite the fact that opposition wants to say that we're broken and nothing's working, I see hard times for many, and I see policies that have made life better for a lot of folks, and policies that, if they're nurtured and resourced, that can continue to do good things for a lot of people. And when I just look at the teams or what's being offered in the next election, I don't, when I look to the opposition, I don't see the support for those policies that have worked really well. So, it's something to think about when we start to figure out who we're going to support as our next leadership.
Right. Well, maybe we can get to that a bit more in a few minutes. But first of all, there's this whole proroguing of the House of Commons. Right as we're about to see the new second term of Trump about to happen, and we'll have a House of Commons that is, basically frozen in a capsule for a few months. That worries me.
Sure. It's been frozen in a capsule for months, the last few months. It's been completely paralyzed by a party that just wants to flip the government upside down and not work for Canadians. So really nothing has changed. They could flash Parliament up on January 27th and run it. The government controls opposition days. So I think both the NDP and the Conservatives have said outright, the first opportunity that we have to bring a confidence motion to the House, we're going to do it. They've said that. Well, the government could just flash up on January 27th and run Parliament and just not schedule an opposition day until like the end of March. And we would just have chaos in the House of Commons for 6 weeks or 8 weeks. That's not going to get anybody anywhere. So proroguing Parliament just takes the temperature down. We still have a functioning government. It's business as usual. We just don't have a bunch of people screaming at each other, screaming that they want an election over the next 8 weeks. I'm not sure how helpful that was going to be anyways. So, and I will remind everybody, this is a tool that Stephen Harper used a number of times, one of which was for this exact same reason. So this is politics. And once you start to understand how this works, it is not as nefarious as it seems.
Right. Okay. Politics. Now, I think last I checked, the Liberals are about 25 points behind in whatever polls.
Sure.
So things will change, I'm sure, with what's going on. But can that kind of ground be made up between now and a spring election?
I'm a realist, if anything, and I don't think so. I think the deficit is so big that I don't think it can be overcome. That's just me spitballing now. Many things can happen. I do think, though, that a change can affect how the seats will be sprawled out across the country, and we might see a minority government, which I think would probably be, in the best case for everybody, at least out of the gate. But who knows? Everything's so volatile and upside down right now. I don't know. Right. If I was to, you just asked me the question. If I was to say right now, I don't think the deficit can be overcome in 3 months.
Yeah, with the Liberal fortunes in decline at the moment, it doesn't seem like the idea of running for the Liberals here in Kelowna doesn't, probably appeal to some of the best qualified candidates to do that right now. I mean, it's a bit of maybe stepping up and giving it a good try. Well,
it's never going to be easy here. It doesn't matter. I mean, even when that red wave that was in 2015. I didn't win in 2015 because of a red wave. I think, there's a number of reasons that happened, but I think the biggest reason was an anti-Harper sentiment as opposed to a Justin Trudeau red wave. People here were just tired of it.
Right.
And they were willing to look for an alternative to what they had that they were so tired of. Yeah. And, that opened the door, and there's a lot of work and a lot of people that have to come together to make it happen. But the door swung open on an anti-Harper wave, not a Justin Trudeau crazy carpet to
It is kind of sad that politics in Canada do seem to, be kind of negative in that way. That it seems like it doesn't matter who's in government, after 9 or 10 years, I think Chrétien had 10, Harper had 9, it's now 9 for Trudeau. And then people, it just builds and then they're just done.
Yeah, I mean, people do get tired. I think the unfortunate part is more often than not, and I include myself in this when I say this, that people, when the time comes to go vote and vote against the person they like the least. Wow. And instead of, and I've really tried in my own, dealings with politics to do what I'm about to say, is that you got to think, I think it's more constructive to think about what you're trying to preserve, because there's no perfect solution. I mean, if you sat down in a room and you put all the parties up on their offerings and went through the pros and cons of all the options on the table, there's none that are going to reveal themselves as, hey, this is the clear choice. There's pros and cons. And instead of looking at it from the perspective of, I'm going to punish this particular group at the polls, look at that list of things and go, you know what? This particular party, I don't like their leader. I don't like a number of things that they may have done. But holy cow, there's a whole bunch of things on there that I like. And I may even depend on those things, like the Canada Child Benefit or the Canada Dental Care Program, or you name it. There's a whole number of things on that list. And then when you have to go to make your decision, you go, you know what? Personalities aside, because guess what? I can assure you that none of the leaders we have are all that popular. Today, it's a bad day for Trudeau, but Jagmeet and Pierre aren't all that popular either. So it's hard. And to get everyone to think about, how do we preserve what we have, the good parts of what we have, because there is lots of good parts, especially if you compare us to other countries. We're doing pretty good. However, there's still lots of stuff that needs to change, and we need to fix a lot of things. Yeah. Look at that list and go, you know what? I'm going to look at this list and go, you know what? I'm eventually going to maybe vote for this particular group of folks because of the things they have done and the direction they are headed. That's the best way to do it. If you just run to the polls and start punishing people, everybody loses.
So it's probably going to be Prime Minister Poilievre. How's he going to stand up to a Trump storm? How's he going to,
there's going to be no advantage. I think it's going to be hard. It doesn't matter who the Prime Minister is. If it was, Trudeau replacement or Pierre Poilievre, Trump is going to be difficult, very difficult for Canada. We're very intertwined with them socially, economically, defense, you name it. We are very connected with them. And it's going to be difficult. If you've seen him in the media, and the people he's trying to point to positions of authority aren't the best quality that we've seen. And it's going to be harder than it was last time. There's no question about it.
Right. And also to have that coming for a new government where newly installed ministers, and all of a sudden for some of them it's going to be an instant crisis.
Well, it's going to be difficult. I mean, the crisis part, I guess we'll see. Trump's been poking his finger at a bunch of countries, not just Canada. Panama, Greenland. There's a number of them. I won't list them all. So perhaps he'll just be distracted by some other problem, and he'll realize. And I remember when USMCA or NAFTA turned into USMCA was negotiated the first time. It was difficult, and ultimately the strategy that bore success, was basically going through the numbers and finding out that, guess what, 36 or 37 of the U.S. states' number one trading partner is Canada. Well, that's important. Of those 37 states, more than 50%, I think it was 2/3, were Republican states. So the lobby effort from Canada to convince Trump to, be more realistic on the relationship, was to renegotiate NAFTA or turn it into USMCA, was to educate those 37 states, and especially the Republican ones, that, hey, listen, if this is just a zero-sum game, or we get candidates beat over the head by the U.S., your states are going to get really hurt as well. And once that was pointed out, those governors are in the White House lobbying for a more balanced USMCA that was better for both countries. So right. I don't see that strategy changing. The benefit to having the government that we have is they've already done it once. They know how to do it again. When any new government comes in, there's a fair amount of chaos in the changeover, and there's usually a few months of new staffing up and changing everything. One could argue that now's not the best time to do that either. So if you're arguing, is it better just to get an election, get a new government, go fight Trump on trade? I could equally say that, you know what, just everyone take a chill pill. We're going to have an election. It's going to be probably in April. Right. And we've got a group of people who have already done this once, and they know how to do it. So let them do it.
Okay. So election in April, why don't you take one for the team?
I'm good. I think I do want to be involved more. I think that I can add. As I've gotten older,
you'll help anybody who wants to.
Well, I want to be involved, and I think that I can add value to the conversation. I want to see our political system become more balanced. Right now, it's just extremes. That pendulum swings from one side to the other, and the amplitude of that swing is getting bigger. It's not getting smaller. And the unfortunate part for us, every day running around just living their life, is the time for that pendulum to kind of come is slower, a smaller amplitude, and come to the center where we're all rowing in the right direction. It couldn't be important right now. Look what's going on the planet. Like, we need stability. We need leadership. We need a bunch of people, all working together. We've got global instability, economically, defense-wise. Climate change is beating the crap out of the planet. And, we're super polarized. Our politics is getting more polarized. That's not a real great place to be when our problems are getting bigger.
Yeah. All right. Hey, appreciate this. Thanks very much.
Happy New Year.
And thank you for watching Kelowna Now.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.